welcome to another movie reviews video. It is Saturday night and I am just back from the cinema, so I'm ready to talk to you about the films that I've seen this week. As always, I will leave timestamps in the description box below in case there is a particular movie you want to hear my thoughts on, and just be forewarned, next Sunday I will have no movie reviews video because I'm not planning on being at the cinema at all next week. I will have 2 bookish videos for you next week and 2 the week after, Tuesday, Thursday, and then whether I have a movie reviews video or not the week after that is kind of to be seen. It depends how jet lagged I am when I get back from my trip, whether I go to the cinema or not. So the first film I saw in the movie theatres this week was Wonder Park, and I actually ended up seeing it in 3D just because of the movie time that it was, and it was pretty good. It wasn't too like in your face moving past fast 3D. It was okay as stories go. It was just okay. There's no real kind of message here. I kind of forgot that I'd seen it. I'm not going to be like, oh, rush out and go and see it. And it's verging on being so weird that it's almost kind of trippy. But then I look at other animated films that I've seen and it's like, well, you could say that about those as well. She designs this Wonder Park and then her mom gets ill and then she kind of runs away, and then she finds that the park is actually real, but she has to save it. So there were some entertaining moments. The stuff with the mum being ill made me cry. So just a warning on that one. If you are grieving a parent, don't go and see that. Yeah, the fact that the park is all run by this monkey was just, yeah, a bit odd. So it's not a top recommendation. I've not got an awful lot to say about it. I forgot what it was called and the fact that I'd seen it. Yeah, maybe skip it and watch something else instead. The next film I went to see was a rewatch. I enjoyed this film so much the last time that I went to go and see it again, and that is Fighting with My Family. It is the love child of Stephen Merchant and The Rock. So, I mean, that's basically all you need to say about it. I laughed just as much the second time around. It was just a great story. It's such a story about girl power as well, and I didn't realise just how much it was such a story about girl power when I saw it the first time. I knew it was good, but it's so good. And then Paige the wrestler has done so much for women's wrestling since she came in as well, and it's like, yes, it's such a good film. I've talked about it in detail quite a bit before. It's just a big recommendation from me, so if it's still showing where you are, definitely go and see it. Then the third film that I saw in cinemas this week was Greta. I kind of had to go and see it late on Thursday night because that was it. It was going from cinemas. So if it's gone from your cinema where you are, it's not the end of the world. It was an okay film. Obviously, it's being marketed as more of a thriller than a horror, and I would agree that it's definitely more of a thriller than a horror. All the kind of shocking or scary bits you kind of see coming. It's very predictable how it's going to go along and how it's going to end. I thought the acting was pretty poor. I am not a big fan, if you've watched these videos for a little while, I'm not a big fan of Chloe Grace Moretz anyway, but if I give you an example, there was a moment when Greta does something and her reaction was literally to go, and it's like, yeah, it was predictable. It wasn't that scary, so if you're worried about it being too scary, don't, it's fine. And yeah, it was very slow paced as well. And with a film like that, you need it to be a little bit faster paced because otherwise you wander between scenes. And I had a lot of questions about why she chose to take the actions that she took and why she chose to not take some actions like, you know, getting back to the police. Also, at no point did she ever call the police herself. There seemed to be someone in the restaurant that she worked at whose job it was to call the police, because anytime she wanted them called, she would just shout to that person, call the police, and that would be it. So yeah, another one that's not really a recommendation from me. Again, there are other films and other horror films that are out and coming out that you could go and see over this one. And then, not a new one, but a new one for me seeing it in the cinema. I went to see the 20th anniversary showing of Cruel Intentions. I watched Cruel Intentions when it came out, probably on video, and I loved it. And it's one of those films that's kind of a total comfort watch for me, because I watched it quite often in 1999 when it first came out, and I was a teenager, and I watched it with my friends, and I watched it by myself, and I watched it again, and I watched it with different friends. And so it's definitely a comfort watch for me. And coming out of the cinema tonight, having seen it, I felt really good. I'd forgotten just how sexy it is. There's a lot of overt sex in that film without there being any nudity or anything like that. There's also quite a lot of homophobic language in the film, which I don't know, maybe I didn't notice before. Whether it's a sign of the times, I don't know. If anyone else has noticed that, let me know in the comments. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, quite a lot of homophobic language. And I do have some questions about why these teenagers were allowed the freedom that they were allowed to do all the things that they do in the film. Again, it's a different world today than it was 20 years ago, but even if you do have kind of rich, absent parents, there's still going to be some modicum of control over you. I don't know. It was still fun, and it was still great to watch, and even though I knew how it was going to pan out and end up, it was still just nice to see it on the big screen, and nice to see it with a kind of an audience, albeit a small one. Was still an audience there on a Saturday night. Yeah, so that is the end of my thoughts for the 4 movies that I saw in cinemas this week. A bit of a mixed bag. 2 rewatches for me, 2 new ones. The new ones weren't so happy with. Yeah, so no movie reviews video from me next week. The week after, TBD. We'll see how tired I am. I will see you with another bookish video on Tuesday, so make sure you are subscribed so that lands in your subscription feed. As always, let me know in the comments if there is any specific movie you would like to hear my thoughts on. Always happy to go to the cinema and do that, or any book versus movie you would like me to make a video on as well. Always happy to do those too. I will see you on Tuesday with a book review video. I'm like, I know what's coming up on Tuesday. So until then, bye.